Hey, what's going on? Ryan Nolting here with Intersection Records, and we are going to talk about guilty pleasures again. Guilty pleasure vinyl, guilty pleasure albums. What is a guilty pleasure? Well, I don't know. For me, it's an album that you can't just play in front of anybody, any one of your friends. You're not going to go on a hunting trip or a fishing trip or go drink a bunch of beers and talk about, in this case, Hot August Night by Neil Diamond. You know, I was doing some research on this. I've known this album damn well for 30 years. And it wasn't until last night that I realized that it was released 2 days after I was born. This was released on December 9th, 1972. This was recorded live at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles. The Greek Theater is part of the Griffith Park area, which is a public park where the observatory is. Think Rebel Without a Cause, that observatory area, which has great views of the Hollywood sign. The Greek Theater holds 5,000 people. He did 10 sold-out shows in October of 72. One of which was recorded. This thing is amazing. Neil Diamond is from New York. Neil Diamond wrote in the Brill Building along with Carole King and Paul Simon and Burt Bacharach and people like that. And by 1972, check out this. By 1972, he's really just in his prime. Think about 10 sold out. By the way, the Greek Theater was built and finished in 1930. I've actually been there one time. Saw some members of the Grateful Dead there. Think about 10 sold out shows at any place, especially in the early 70s. It's 50,000 people that are going to see over a 10-day period. Let's get into this thing. Look at him. He's still got jeans on. He's not quite got the sequins stuff that he would later wear. And I know there's glare on this. Let's go track by track. Let me put some glasses on. Maybe have a sip of wine. I got my Joni shirt on. Joni Mitchell. We're going to do some shows on Joni Mitchell. She's the most talented songwriter of all time. I don't know. This thing starts off with an instrumental piece. An orchestral piece that bleeds right into a song called Crunchy Granola. Maybe not one of my favorite songs on the album. You know, he's from New York. He gets out to the LA area, and there's a health lifestyle going on in Southern California, and he's kind of talking about that. And that goes into the next song, Done to Joan. This lists all kinds of famous people: Buster Keaton, Karl Marx, Alan Freed, Edgar Allan Poe, Humphrey Bogart, Mozart. It's a good piece. There's some dialogue next where he talks about the tree people. So not only are there 5,000 people in this venue, but there's people in the trees. This area is very wooded. And it's up a little bit, in the hills, not quite all the way up to the observatory, but it looks over the backside onto LA. It's a really cool place. Even to go and walk the park, you can get a feel for what that area is like. So there's people hanging in the trees, and he's calling out to them and saying, this is for you guys too. He said, God made this place for musicians to die. He promises an unforgettable night. So he's had a couple songs that aren't my favorites off this record, but this ends up becoming an unforgettable night. The next song is Solitary Man. And, it's just an incredible version of that song. Straight into Cherry Cherry, which is one of my favorites. I have Solitary Man and Cherry Cherry circled. This is classics. You know, the Cherry Cherry is an acoustic intro. It's songwriting perfection. We're gonna make our own lightning. Huh. He does all the huss in this whole album, right? Kind of got that Elvis thing, right? Straight Into Sweet Caroline, which is not one of my favorite songs, but it's a great version. You know, there's swagger, just swagger all night. He knows. And as this show develops, he knows that he's crushing this whole venue. He knows it. Palm of your hand. You ever been on stage and you knew that you had everybody in the palm of your hand? And there's almost nothing that you can do that snaps that trance. Doesn't happen very often, does it? Flip over the first album. This is a double album, by the way. Porcupine Pie. It's a 1 minute and 45 second kind of charming little ditty where he's saying that you need to wear gloves to hold the porcupine pie or your hands will turn green. He's playing with the audience. Again, he knows he can kind of get away with it. The next one, You're So Sweet. By the way, when you pull this up on Spotify, a couple things. Subscribe to my channel, like these videos, share these videos. You know, we're going to do daily content. We're going to do shows every single day until I can't do shows anymore. And that's going to be never. I'm going to do them forever. You're going to be with me forever. The next song is You're So Sweet. It's a little country dance song, okay? It's brilliant. It just shows his range. By the way, Rich Bennett is on guitar, and he's playing steel guitar. So we've gone now to country. The first one was almost like a childish lullaby. I don't want to say ditty again, but I'm going to. So he's showing them he can do a little bit of everything. You know, the next one is Red, Red Wine, which of course he wrote in 1967 on his second album. And it's, you know, just master writing. Stay close to me. Red, Red Wine's his friend. He can confide in. In fact, let me have a sip of my Red, Red Wine. Soggy Pretzels. Next song. Kind of another fun little song. He's crying in his pretzels. They're soggy. Again, Bennett on steel guitar. Dennis St. John on drums on this record is great. One of the guys, by the way, that does a lot of the orchestral arrangement is, I can't think of his first name, but his last name is Paich. P-A-I-C-H. His son ended up being the keyboard player for Toto and writing a lot of their music. He was on the Thriller album. So things are coming full circle on my channel, by the way, if you watch stuff here. Soggy Pretzels doesn't work as well for me, frankly. But the next song, The Grass Won't Pay No Mind. It's like a philosophy lesson. He's telling his 2-year-old telling a 2-year-old about life, right? And then we have Shiloh. I've circled Shiloh as another one of my favorites, along with Solitary Man and Cherry Cherry. You know, wanting to be introspective. You know, an imaginary friend, Shiloh. You know, it's just, this is not an imaginary friend, or is it? Because I put this thing on a lot, and I always have, you know, and I've played this for people. Remember one time my uncle, we were sitting out up in Michigan on a lake by the fire, and we were kind of trading back and forth of albums that we were playing. He was playing some Jay Giles, which I love, by the way. And then I put this on, and about 15 minutes later in silence, he's like, Ryan, I don't like Neil Diamond. And I was embarrassed, you know. I thought everybody liked this stuff. I turned it off and kind of, you know, put something else on, but this is amazing. And it's, like I said, it's not an imaginary friend, or is it? The first album finishes with Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. So this is a slower version. It's slower than the studio one. I think it still works. It's not. It was a top 10 single in '67. Remember this comes out in December of '72. Remember Pulp Fiction when this song is played. It's incredible. You flip this album over, and the next record. So again, it's a double album. The next album is just unbelievable. Play Me. You are the sun, I am the moon. You are the words, I am the tune. Play Me. Watch my top 30 love songs. It's high up there for me. He says, "Let me do a love song for you," and he breaks into this track. It's perfection for me. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous song. It takes me to a calm place, and then that follows right into Cante Libre, which he sings in Spanish. Sing free, sing of life, sing for my mother and father is what he's saying. And he's singing it in Spanish, and then he does explain some of it. That goes right into Morningside. This man is not afraid. He's not afraid to be vulnerable. He's holding the Greek theater, like I said, in the palm of his hand, and he's not going to let you go. He says, this is a fantasy. It's a pure fantasy. It's a dream. The old man dies alone, but he left a gift behind. Enough said. Talk about a guilty pleasure. Song Blue is next. Not one of my favorites, but it's a classic and it's genius songwriting. Even frogs can sing it, he says. And he has the whole crowd singing Song Blue. The fifth song. So side one of the second album finishes with Cracklin' Rosie. Just a killer song. Originally recorded with the Wrecking Crew with Hal Blaine on drums. Just a great performer singing a great song. Cracklin' Rose, you're a store-bought woman. You make me sing like a guitar strumming. It's so good. We're gonna flip over the second album, and we're gonna do Holly Holy. It's a spiritual song. He's not afraid at this point. At this point in the night, he knows that he's taking you to church. Singing a song of songs, which is a religious statement, I think. It's just beautiful. The second song on the second side of this second record is I Am I Said. LA's fine, the sun shines most of the time, and the feeling is laid back. Palm trees grow and the rent's low, but I keep thinking about way back. I was New York City, born and raised, and nowadays I find myself lost between two shores. LA's fine, but it ain't home. New York's home, but it ain't mine no more. Starts off by saying, I need, I want, I care, I weep, I ache, I am, I said I am. It's just fantastic. And the last song is Solomon, which goes into Brothers, Loves, Traveling, Salvation Soul. Again, it's almost like a religious chant with a Solomon. You can only just listen to that. He has come strong through this, and he has knocked it out of the ballpark. And if this was the last thing that he ever did, and like I have said before, if he died in a plane crash a week later, he would be maybe even bigger than he is now, because this is perfection on vinyl. This is not only a guilty pleasure of mine, but it's one of the greatest double live albums ever made. It is a a true masterpiece. And check it out. I'm sure you all have heard it before. Thanks for subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. We're going to do daily stuff here. What does subscribing mean to me? It means nothing to me about monetizing this channel at all. It just gives me some encouragement that people care and that I'm reaching. You know, I have had people make some of the nicest comments that really, when I think about the comments that some people have made, you know, it choke me up a little bit. And I've said to those people, you know, if I can touch one person, or if I can turn one person on to Joni Mitchell or Neil Diamond or Donna Summer or David Crosby or Neil Young or Led Zeppelin, then my work is done here. Secondly, just to be able to talk music and learn. You know, I'm learning too. Peace out. Be good. Thanks a lot. Bye.